The best carpenters in Japan say a perfect plane shaving should be transparent. To get there, the blade goes through fire, steam, ash, and 780 degrees of heat. And at the end, the only thing that matters is how fast water evaporates off hot iron. The plane was originally created as a tool for finishing the surface of wood flat and smooth. Over time, however, various shapes of blades and bodies suited to different types of woodworking were developed. It is said that a skilled carpenter uses more than a dozen different planes, each for a different purpose. The most common type of plane is the flat plane. The flat plane consists of a blade and a wooden body. Among the blades, there is the double blade plane, where a cap iron is placed against the blade, and the single blade plane, which has only the blade itself. The body of the plane is best made from oak, and its parts are called the heel, the toe, the top surface, the sole, the side face, and the mouth. And inside the blade slot there is a retaining bar and a retaining groove. The blade is made by laminating hard steel onto soft iron. On the back, the soft iron area is called the upper back surface, whilst the steel area forms the back. First, the soft iron is heated to between 1000 and 1200 degrees Celsius and shaped by hammering. This process is called the initial forming. After rough hammering, water is poured under the iron and it is struck with clay. This causes a steam explosion, which blasts away the oxide film on the surface. A bonding agent is applied to both the soft iron and the steel, and they are stacked together and heated. The heat melts the bonding agent, and the steel and iron are hammered together to forge-weld them. They are heated again and roughly hammered once more. This process is repeated 2 or 3 times to shape the piece. Once the shape is formed, it is cut to the appropriate length. The head portion is heated in the furnace to nearly 1100 degrees Celsius and shaped by hammering with clay. Next, the opposite side is heated and hammered with clay in the same way. The piece is then heated to a lower temperature than before, placed in ash, and left to cool slowly. This process is done to soften the blade. The cutting edge area is ground with a grinder, and the boundary between the soft iron and the steel is identified. The black scale on the back surface is then ground away and polished. The cutting edge area is filed to remove any unevenness. The entire back surface is polished with a finer buff than what was used in the previous step. A soil grain pattern is applied to the top face of the back. The grain pattern varies depending on the type, so many varieties exist. The back portion is hammered with clay from the front side, making the back surface a shallow concave curve. This part is called the back hollow, a design feature that makes sharpening easier. The length and width are adjusted whilst polishing with a grinder. Since the width of the head and the cutting edge differ, careful control of pressure is required during polishing. A buff is used to polish the entire surface. The sides are filed by hand. This is done to give it a traditional, old-fashioned texture. The back surface is finished with a buff. The degree of finish is checked by reflecting light off the surface as the work progresses. Any burrs at the corners are carefully removed with a file. Tonoko, a fine polishing powder dissolved in water, is applied thickly to the front and sides, then left to dry. A thin coat of Tonoko is applied to the back. This is done to ensure the hardening is applied evenly across the entire surface. The piece is hardened by quenching at around 780 degrees Celsius. Since the quality of the blade depends entirely on how well the quenching is done, the master craftsman's skill is everything. The hardened blade is held against a surface plate, checked for warping, and straightened. The tool used for straightening, called neji-gane, is made from softer metals such as copper or brass, which are softer than iron. A few drops of water are dripped onto the blade, which has been warmed over charcoal, and the rate of evaporation is used to judge the temperature before tempering. This subtle sense of judgment is something cultivated through many years of experience. Any warping that has occurred during tempering is corrected. The remaining clay residue is removed and the surface polished using a wire buff. With this, the front face and the upper back surface are complete. The blade is fitted into a sharpening board and the back is polished with a buff. Mixed sand is applied to a wooden block made of cedar and used to polish. This process is done to bring out a sheen on the back surface. Rust preventive oil is applied and the blade is complete. It is then sent for final sharpening. First, water is applied to prevent the temper from reversing as the cutting edge is sharpened on a whetstone. Clay is used to hammer out the back bevel. This involves bending the cutting edge very slightly towards the back, so that it can shave wood in a scooping motion. The blade is sharpened on the whetstone again to create a secondary bevel. Using a precisely calibrated whetstone, the back bevel is finished and a rough back flattening is performed. A natural whetstone and sharpening board are used to remove the whetstone marks left by the rough back flattening. The blade angle is adjusted to around 25 degrees, the most practical angle for general use. Finally, the blade is carefully sharpened to a fine finish using a combination whetstone, and the plain blade is complete. The completed plain blade is then sent to the bodymaker. Making the body begins with marking out the dimensions to match the plain blade. The blade slot is chiseled out, the blade is roughly fitted, and the mouth is cut. Several types of chisels are then used to refine the blade slot, shaping it precisely to fit the blade. Finally, the back seating, the retaining groove, the mouth, and other parts are carefully finished. The retaining bar is driven in. The sole, sides, and top are planed to create a clean, beautiful surface. The corners are chamfered and neatened. Finally, the sole is shaved very slightly thinner, and a gap just wide enough to allow shavings to pass through is opened, and the plane is complete. The metalwork of the trunk, refined over a long history. Within that tradition, the blacksmiths have built and cultivated their own unique techniques. Tools that pursue the ultimate in function, and a culture that must be preserved. The trunk tool blacksmiths wield their hammers again today.